Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ Marino and we have a review today. I'm jumping into the new film. Oh boy, here we go. We're talking about Dune. Now, for those in the dating world, have you ever met a beautiful person? They are just the most stunning thing to look at, but the moment they open their mouth, they have nothing to offer. That's kind of how Dune is for me. This is one of the most visually stunning films I've seen in a bit. At times, sometimes the cinematography is a bit murky, sometimes it's not as breathtaking as I think it's sold to be, but for the most part, Dune is a very good-looking movie with high production design, some okay, auditory stuff, I think the score, the sound design, and all that really does work, but the script, the story, the directing, the acting, it all feels a bit cold and hollow. For a movie set in the desert, this was one of the most cold and distant films I've felt in a while. I just couldn't engage with anything, and that's the characters, the story, the world building, none of it really felt accessible. None of it really felt inviting. This also comes from somebody who isn't a big fan of the Dune story. I've seen the film, I've seen the miniseries, I've tried to read the books twice. Yeah, this just doesn't work for me, but I hoped the director, Denis Villeneuve, could really pull something out of that. He did the opposite. He made it worse for me. He made it a bit more kind of hard to grab onto, a bit harder to sink my teeth into. It kind of boils down to the acting isn't as amazing as I wanted it. Timothée Chalamet as our lead actor, not as great. We have characters we'll talk about in a minute that I do think are very enjoyable, but from our lead performances to the world building that offers you nothing. If you are not familiar with Dune, you are going to be so lost in this film. They don't try to say a lot. There is a lot of exposition. They do kind of sit and pause and explain things to you, but they're not saying much. That's the overall issue I have. This just has a lot of meh qualities to it. That just purely though in the script and all that department. Like I said, the production design is stellar. Costumes are amazing. Some of the cinematography really was breathtaking, but for the most part, I have to say that the new Dune is much like the other Dunes. This is an inadaptable story that they keep trying to do, and I don't understand why. So I'm not really going to sum up the story of Dune because there is a lot to break down and it's kind of hard. If you want to see Dune, you'll know the story. If you've seen Dune, you know the story. But we have our character Paul, who is a bit of a young guy who has rumors or rumblings of being a bit of a messiah. So when he comes to this new land that is filled with desert, he's coming from such a regal, very island kind of vibe. Now he's in the desert trying to survive, trying to get his family there, trying to see if they can kind of mine spice in their imperialism kind of arc to go do this. The emperor sent them there to do something. It's a bit of a lot of mumbo jumbo. It's basically guys here to be a white savior and hey, let's all help them. That's what's really interesting about this. I never realized how much Dune screams the white savior trope until this. Now, the books do try to use that as a commentary. They are trying to say something about this trope, but in the film, it is even more apparent about how cringy this story could be. It's kind of interesting because they did try to diversify Dune, but they made most of, if not all of the people of color, the natives to this island or to this planet that is getting invaded by other people, dealing with a very regal, white-led kind of imperial force. The optics of this film are a bit interesting, and I felt like I never noticed it until this version. Dune has always spoken about imperialism, about this group of high enforced people kind of coming to a place and ruining it for their own profit. There's always been those conversations, but here they don't say anything. It presents it. It's well, here's imperialism, and I'm not going to condemn it, not going to be pro it. It's just presenting things, and that's the issues I have here. I needed more, but then I'm seeing this, and I'm wow, Timothée Chalamet's Paul character is really going to be the savior to this group of brown people. I'm hoping the other parts of this film, I still don't know how they're going to do this in 2 parts. This is a 3-part film, especially because they are trying to do so much and really don't offer a lot. I just hope they avoid this in the next entries. I really hope that they're presenting this very trope, very cliched story and really push it forward. That is a problem with Dune. This has been around since 1965. survive that original novel. It's been the movie, it's been the miniseries, and everyone is ripped from it. So this makes it feel so much more dated. I feel like it's been there, done that territory, and for a big epic sci-fi film, I should never feel that it has been there, done that. For me, one of the biggest struggles of this film was the acting. I was very conflicted with the characters and then the actors playing these characters. Like Timothée Chalamet's Paul is so flat and he's not the lead I was expecting. I wanted a bit more from this character. He's not the worst person ever, but there's times where he's really outclassed by other actors. Like I'm watching like Oscar Isaacs and Josh Brolin really do something, though I don't really like Josh Brolin's character, but I'm seeing them actually push through. Not until the end of this film is when I actually feel Chalamet really pushing it. Now, I will say on the opposite end, Rebecca Ferguson does the best with her very interesting character. There's so much more we could be doing with the Lady Jessica role, but she's just here to do some things, to pass on some knowledge, to be cool, kick-ass in one big action scene. Yeah, there's not a lot of action scenes in this either. If you're here for action, oh my goodness, I hope you are not. Also, if you're here for Zendaya, I hope you are not as well, because she is barely in this movie, but Jason Momoa is in this movie, and he's good. When I actually enjoy Jason Momoa and find him to be the most charismatic person in your film, you have a problem. Like, I like him, but he's not the strongest actor, but he actually gave me life. He was the only one that seemed happy to be on set. And I know it's the Dune story. Everyone has to be like, I'm gonna be here giving you exposition, and here is my monologue. And I'm like, okay, give me something. Nobody gave me energy or life. The sandworm had more personality than half this cast. And I, like, again, Oscar Isaac, Stellan Skarsgård, Javier Bardem. There's so many great actors, like Rebecca Ferguson. Oh my god, all of these people should be doing the absolute most, but they are reading the most, like, dry dialogue in such dry scenes. I expected so much more from the acting and the directing. Denis Villeneuve, I mean, I love Arrival. That's one of my favorite films. Prisoners, Enemies, this is a director I very much enjoy, but from Blade Runner 2049 to this, these are some of his weakest films because I just don't think he is pushing forward much. Like, it's just dry performances and beautiful settings, and that doesn't work for me. I know people are gonna love this film. I know people who loved Blade Runner 2049, but these films, like I said in the beginning, they're beautiful to look at, but they're so hollow, so empty that I just feel so blah about them. You know this movie gets frustrating for me when I'm thinking like, wow, I would rather watch the Star Wars prequels. Sure, they look far worse than this, but at least that political drama was intense. At least those characters, as bad as some of those were at least giving me more life and energy and camp and fun. I'm not saying this needs to be like a haha slapstick comedy, but there was no personality in this film. And I am frustrated, but thank goodness I never have to talk about Dune again until a sequel. Oh boy, if it ever gets it, we will talk about that eventually. Oh boy. Alright guys, what did you think of this review? What do you think of Dune? Have you had the chance to see it yet? Are you on the side who thinks it's a masterpiece? Or do you agree with me that says it's just an okay film? It's not the worst movie. It's definitely not the best. I want to know your feelings. So comment down below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth because we make videos like this every single week. And give me a thumbs up if you did enjoy. I'm going to take the Spice Girls and we should talk about this stuff down below.